The Nintendo Switch is now perfectly set to pass up the PlayStation 2 as the best-selling game device of all time. The Nintendo Switch is currently at 141 million units plus, while the PlayStation 2 sits at 160 million units. That means the Switch is roughly 19 million units away from surpassing the PlayStation 2 as the best-selling gaming system of all time. Now, with sales rapidly slowing down for the Nintendo Switch and Jim Ryan magically increasing the PlayStation 2's sales number on his way out, many have wondered exactly how the Nintendo Switch was going to be able to pass the PlayStation 2 with software like Another Code and Endless Ocean coming out, not really moving a lot of systems. And while the first half of the year was a bit weak when it comes to Nintendo, with a heavy dose of the remasters and remakes and C-tier type of games, the second half seems to be packed full of system selling software that could help move a lot of Nintendo Switch systems. Now, at the June Nintendo Direct, that proved that Nintendo's software teams are some of the most talented and best in the business, turning out games at a record pace for an HD system in the modern era. I can definitely see the Nintendo Switch passing up the PlayStation 2 officially in sales sometime in 2026, maybe 2027, if things don't go all according to plan, or if Nintendo is a little bit slow on employing some of the things that I'm going to talk about here when it comes to software and when it comes to the economics of what they do with the Nintendo Switch 1 in the future. Now, this year alone, Nintendo has around 10 first-party releases, with the second half having big hitters in the Zelda and Mario franchises. Now, I do want to break this down because this is the way that Nintendo's actually going to be able to surpass the PlayStation 2. It's with software, it's getting people to buy secondary systems, it's getting people even more interested in a system that people are already very interested in. Nintendo is planning on selling around 13 million units in the next year, so from it was like around March or April of this year to March of next year, and I think that they could hit that or surpass that number, which would put them at 150 million plus, which would be right there in striking distance, another 10 million or so of the PlayStation 2. And how they're going to do it is the big games, but I think that one of the key games here that's really going to help is The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, coming out on September 26, 2024, and the Zelda Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition that they have. These special edition systems that Nintendo does for like the Nintendo 3DS, they did it. Those are always becoming rare, or always end up becoming rare. So the fact that they're doing one here for the Nintendo Switch Lite is a very good thing. Now, originally back in 2019, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening launched with the Nintendo Switch Lite, and that helped boost things up quite a bit. So I can definitely see a nice boost in sales for the Nintendo Switch with The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and that special edition Zelda Nintendo Switch. And of course, the game Echoes of Wisdom is a very new take on the Legend of Zelda top-down 2D formula, where you play as Princess Zelda, and she's not just a sword wielder going around solving puzzles and hitting things with the sword. She actually has magic to where she can create echoes, and those echoes of stuff that she can create, she can use in the world in order to solve puzzles. But there's even more stuff that they haven't shown us. It seems like there's going to be a large count of stuff that Princess Zelda can do, and we don't know what else this game has in store for us. Heck, there might even be an optional mode where you get to play as Link at certain parts, or even play as Link after you beat the game. Maybe there is a quest with him too. So what I do for this game is going to deliver a lot of surprises when it does launch, and I think it's going to be a driver for Nintendo Switch software sales when it comes out late September. Now, this game, out of everything that we're talking about, might be the biggest impact because it's Super Mario Party Jamboree. This is a follow-up to a game that has sold 20 million units in Super Mario Party, and they're keeping that same branding, that same title, but of course adding something in, and that's a smart move in my opinion, because so many people have bought Super Mario Party on the Nintendo Switch on the more casual side, and maybe this will get them to say, okay, I want to check this out for a cousin or a brother or sister, whatever the case is. It's coming out on October 17th of this year, and I do see this being the biggest Mario Party title ever when it comes to the review scores and when it comes to sales. I think it's going to go pretty fast when it comes to the sales charts. And I do see it reaching up to where Super Mario Party was at, especially if you factor in the Nintendo Switch 2, and maybe if they do DLC or how they support the game afterwards. But it already has a pretty large number of boards and modes already included, plus it has 110 mini games as well. So this is the most that they've ever done for a Mario Party game. I've never seen a Mario Party game this ambitious, so they were definitely cooking up when they were thinking about this one. But like I said, the big factor here for this pushing software sales is that this is a sequel to a game that has sold 20 million units and has helped sell a lot of Nintendo Switch systems out there. So I definitely see Super Mario Party Jamboree helping out quite a bit. Now, next up is a game that I'm actually super excited for, and I don't think it's going to be a massive system seller, but it's going to be a game that's going to sell well and help with the positive momentum of the Nintendo Switch. And I think it can aid in with the other games that we've talked about here, and that is Mario and Luigi Brothership on November 7th. I think that this game is a title that people have been waiting for so long. I mean, I don't think that there's many holdouts from the GBA and DS era that were saying, okay, I'm not gonna buy a Nintendo Switch until a new Mario and Luigi game comes out. However, I do feel that there's going to be a lot of people that grew up with this series that are going to buy a Nintendo Switch Lite or a Nintendo Switch OLED for a family member to be able to experience this type of game as they played it back in the day. I had a number of people in stream saying, I grew up playing these games on GBA, I grew up playing them on DS, I'm definitely gonna get my child it, I'm gonna get my brother or my sister that's younger this game and a Nintendo Switch. So I do feel that it's going to help once again aid with the other big hitters. I mean, Mario has been a beast for Nintendo in the past year. There's been a ton of Mario games and they've all done million plus units or so. So I do feel that this is going to be another game with Super Mario Party Jamboree. Now you have Mario and Luigi Brothership that is a multi-million seller and does help aid the positive momentum of exclusive software for the Nintendo Switch, which we can all say at this point has by far the best library that Nintendo has ever put together. And I'll probably have a separate video on that. Now, next up, we kind of move into 2025, and we've got Donkey Kong Country Returns, which is launching on January 16, 2025. And while, yes, this is a port of a Wii game, it's a port of one of the best-selling core games for the Nintendo Wii, and there are a lot of Donkey Kong fans that are probably going to pick this one up. Now, it's probably not going to be a big system seller type of game, but I do think that it does help with the momentum and, of course, the perception of, man, Nintendo's always having new games come out. And look, anytime that we can get games that are stuck on older platforms, Nintendo's SD platforms, like the Nintendo 3DS, like the Nintendo Wii, anytime that we can get that, it's a good thing, especially for a game that is sold as good as Donkey Kong Country Returns did on the Nintendo Wii. And I think even the 3DS version sold 1 million units plus. Plus, this one has those 3DS levels that many people probably never experienced at all because they just played the Wii version and not the Nintendo 3DS version, which was a little crusty. Impressive, but a little crusty overall. I think they cut it to 30 frames on that version instead of 60. And of course, you know, DKC, it's kind of nice to have it at 60 when it comes to a platformer and everything. So I do feel that this is going to be a very good release for Nintendo in early 2025. And then we have the big one here, and that is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, Metroid Prime has never been a massive system seller or system mover or anything. However, I do feel that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be something that sells more systems than any other Metroid game has ever done to this point, maybe with the exception of Metroid Dread because that launched with new hardware. But you don't know, Nintendo could have a Nintendo Switch OLED Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Edition that could also help boost things. I don't think they're done with their special editions or special systems just yet. So look out for something like that launching with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'm just speculating on that, nothing when it comes to actually confirmed information. But I do think that that is possible to get some special edition Joy-Cons or to get a special edition system with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in 2025. But we'll also have to see how close it is to the Nintendo Switch 2, what's going on, because by the time that Metroid Prime 4 gets more information and they start talking about release date and all that, we're definitely going to know about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the general idea of when that system is coming out, or if this game's even going to be a cross-gen type of game. So there is a lot here when it comes to first-party titles that's going to help push the Nintendo Switch and reach its goals past the PlayStation 2. You have a slew of great third-party games as well, like Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake, and Fantasian Neo Dimensions. So for me personally, I think Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake, those are going to be system movers and sellers in Japan, particularly where Dragon Quest is just massive, especially classic Dragon Quest. And I think that the Switch is going to be the system to get it on. So there are going to be people that somehow don't have a Nintendo Switch in Japan that get this game and a system, whether it's a Switch Lite, a Switch OLED, whatever type of Switch V2, whatever it is, to pick up this game and play. And it's going to be a big deal in terms of sales. I'm very interested to see the splits on that, because the game is also coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series and PC. But I think in Japan, it's going to dominate on the Nintendo Switch. Being able to play a Dragon Quest game like that just looks so good anywhere that you want. That's going to be huge for the Nintendo Switch and pushing systems. It comes out November 14th with Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. So that's this year. We're going to be able to see the impact in November. Nice back-to-back too with Mario and Luigi Brothership. And then bam, the following week, you got Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. I absolutely love that approach. And then, of course, next year, I think that's also going to be a big boost to Nintendo Switch sales in Japan as well. And Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, don't sleep on that game in terms of what it can do in Japan. It's looking like the best Romancing Saga game ever made at this point. And you've got to remember, with all of this being said, guys, this is still before Nintendo has an official, real price drop for any model. There really hasn't been anything. The thing that we've gotten is we've gotten a price increase with the new model with the Nintendo Switch OLED, and we've gotten a price decrease with a different model that doesn't have the features of the standard Nintendo Switch. That standard Switch has been $299 the whole generation, which is just wild. I don't think anything's ever happened like that to where a system does not move price at all for 6-7 years plus, heading into its 8th year. I don't think that's ever happened for an active system. That's just crazy, because the PlayStation 2 was being sold for like $100 at this point or something like that. It was being sold for super cheap. You can get them for 100, 150, depending on what bundles or what retailers want to do. And we have not gotten prices anywhere near that low. So I think that's pretty impressive as well to see that. $350 for the Nintendo Switch OLED. People are buying that like crazy. That's actually the best selling model at this point, with all of them against each other. And then of course the Nintendo Switch Lite at $199 or $200, which is the least selling out of all of them between the standard Switch or V2 Switch, Nintendo Switch Lite, and Nintendo Switch OLED. So it's pretty crazy to see that as well. Now, I do feel that we could get a price drop after the Nintendo Switch 2 launches. I think that Nintendo could maybe price drop the Nintendo Switch 1, but we also have rumors that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be coming in at $400, so $399.99, however you want to phrase it. And if they do that, then they can just say, hey, well, you can still get a cheaper Switch, and it's still cheaper than the new system, $50 at the minimum, and more if you're talking about the Nintendo Switch Lite to the Nintendo Switch 2. So that could be interesting to see exactly how Nintendo puts together the price drops, if they decide to do bundles to help with the sales. There's all sorts of things the PlayStation 2 did in order to reach those blockbuster type of sales that Nintendo has not employed yet at all with the Nintendo Switch. So that's just another thing that you look at, like, yeah, it's probably going to pass it up. You've got the big games and the big franchises like Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario, Metroid, and more coming out. You've probably got price drops that can be employed later on in order to get things done. And Nintendo probably still isn't done with Switch software. I'm pretty sure they've got more big first party games to reveal that are going to be coming out on the Nintendo Switch in 2025. And I do feel that Nintendo will be doing some type of cross-gen type of support to where, yes, even when the Nintendo Switch 2 is out sometime in 2025, you're going to be seeing some of the smaller games or updates for the Nintendo Switch come out. So if they make like a Nintendo World Championships NES Edition Part 2 or Nintendo World Championships Super Nintendo Edition, I'm pretty sure they would make that for the standard Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, or have it to where it's just backwards compatible, whatever the case is, right? So I do feel that they are definitely going to be employing that because people are still buying and playing Nintendo Switch games, yet there is a sizable chunk of the audience that is ready to move on to the next system and ready to see what Nintendo has in store for us, and they will have some big stuff in store for us when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. I just know they're going to come with some crazy heat as they've gotten so much time in order to make games and plan out their strategy here. So what are your thoughts about the Nintendo Switch and it surpassing the PlayStation 2? All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.